Create enriching experiences beyond the classroom through ACSI Student Leadership and Learning with Emily Pigott.
Well, hello and welcome to the Student Leadership and Learning Podcast, where we journey together to influence, equip, and impact today's students with intentionality and purpose. And as always, I am your host, Emily Pigott. And as we journey through our time together today, our goal is to reaffirm our why. Why do we choose to spend our days investing in students' lives? Well, 2025 is here, and with it comes incredible possibilities, new opportunities, new and exciting things that we get to do as we impact our students. And I love beginning each year with reflection. I don't set New Year's resolutions. They aren't really my thing. If they're your thing, awesome. But I want to reflect back what went well in 2024. And there's a lot we can say about that. But also, what changes need to be made to get more caught up in the meaning and possibilities that we have as we engage our students in Christian education? What does it mean for us in 2025 as we look at our classroom and our schools full of students? How can we engage them better? So I want us to reflect upon a couple of different things, and an approach that we have in Christian education with a deep look at the following question. How are we doing in the area of consuming information? And how are we doing with being connectors? Now, what do I mean about that? As educators, we are constantly giving our students information, and we are expecting them to be consumers. And that's part of our job. But what I mean with these questions is it's easy for us to approach our interactions with our students as if that is all they are. Consumers. They're taking that information from us. We import content to them, we give them information, knowledge, and they consume it. All easy, except is that really our main goal in Christian education? Well, yes and no. Our goal is to educate our students. All of that is important. But are we connecting with our students? Are we being studiers of this generation? Are we looking at the generation of students that are in our classroom? And are we asking ourselves daily, how are we connecting with our students? That's what I mean by moving from just consumers to connectors. It's the part where we take the time to ensure we are first and foremost connecting with our students so that when we impart information to them, which is very important, the consumer part has more intentionality because the relationship part is the foundation upon which our students stand. So today, I want us to focus on becoming more realistic about who we are as Christian educators and the importance of our involvement in our students' lives. Now, I know that you know it's important or you wouldn't be in Christian education. But do we take the time to intentionally connect with our students via relationships as we go through day in and day out our daily interactions with them? Are we working on enriching their faith as we transform the knowledge that we impart to them into the class? So first, let's discuss why we need to make the shift from consumer, meaning we are just expecting our students to consume the knowledge we give them, to connector. So as educators, it's essential that we be realistic about who we are and the role we play in our students' lives. We can't stand in front of our students, and nor do you want to stand in front of our students and just be an imparter of knowledge. We wear many hats: mentor, guide, instructor, prayer partner, counselor at times. And God's placed us in a unique position to influence, guide, and support our students. And when we truly embrace the significance of our involvement in their lives, we recognize that we're not just teaching students. We are helping shape their lives. So think about Jesus's ministry for a moment. Yes, he taught profound truths, as you all do in the classroom each day, but his teaching was so abundantly relational. There's transactional and there's relational. He was connected with people in ways that met them where they were. Whether he was speaking with the woman at the well, breaking bread with his disciples, teaching in the synagogues, his message was always rooted in love and connection. And as Paul reminds us in 1 Thessalonians 5:11, therefore encourage one another and build each other up, just as in fact you are doing. And this isn't just a spiritual principle, it's a leadership principle. When we prioritize being connectors with our students, we reflect Christ's example, and create communities where our students can thrive. Content is important, but it's only a tool. See, the real magic happens when we use that tool to connect with our students, and it's not easy. Connect with their families, and it's not easy. Connection isn't just the practical side of our work, but it's part of our calling. When we prioritize connecting with our students, we are echoing what Christ did, the example that he set for us of love, humility, and service in our students. So how do we make this shift? Let's say that you are really an outstanding educator. You're impactful in the classroom. Your AP scores are through the roof. Your standardized assessments, you're doing really well. But maybe in 2025, as we look and reflect upon things we can do differently, ask yourself, am I focusing more on the material or on the people I teach? In other words, are you focusing just on the content delivery or how to develop connection in the midst of the content delivery? It takes a lot of effort and strategic planning in order to shift from just content delivery to connecting within it. So a question to ask ourselves as we go into 2025 is, how can I make my teaching more relational and impact? And the result of that reflection, wherever you are on the connector journey, will guide your next step. So, but the good news is that this transformation doesn't require a complete overhaul. You're not going to throw out what you're already doing in the classroom, because more than likely there's already relational components that are happening. It's about small, intentional steps to become even more effective with connecting with your students. So, practically speaking, what could it look like? At the very simple, the core of it, start with check-ins. A simple question of, how's your day going? Wow. When you ask a student that, perhaps they're working on their individual work, and you take the time just to move beside a student who's diligently working and just lean over and ask the question, how's your day going? And let's see what they say. Now, it may take a few more questions, because chances are they're going to say fine and good. But with a few more prodding questions, we can really dive in deep with our students. Or maybe another question would be, what's one thing you're looking forward to this week? Think about the response of that question. You're going to get a beautiful picture of what they know they're facing in the days ahead just by asking that simple question. And it's going to open the door to deeper conversations. Another possible example, and this is one that I had to work on very early on when I stepped into the classroom, and it is being fully present. I am a doer. I am a call to action. I am a get it done type of educator. If you put a project in front of me, it's going to happen, and we're going to figure out a way to get it done. And most educators are like that. And sometimes I found when I was in the classroom that I was so focused in on getting to that end goal, whatever it may be, that I didn't take the time to be fully present with my students, because I was always looking at the next step. It's kind of like when you're listening and you're thinking of the next thing that you're going to say, so you're not fully listening. That's kind of what I'm talking about here. So when you're in the classroom or having a conversation, putting away distractions. One of the things that I had to start practicing is taking our smartphones that we have next to us every day, and the simple act of, when a student came up to me, my phone always was face up. Why? Well, as an educator, I had to make sure I stayed fully engaged in case something arose. As an administrator, it was even more important because if an emergency happened on campus, it was coming over my phone. But what I learned to do was I would take my phone the moment you came in and you were going to engage with me, I would take it and do the simple act of just turning it over. And then you had my full undivided attention. In my mind, I expect, or I learned, if an emergency happens, I'm going to know about it. I'm going to find a way. So I stopped being afraid to turn that phone over. Eye contact, active listening, leaning forward in your seat. And I'm like, I'm with you every step of the way. Being fully present in that moment is a powerful way to engage with your students. Focus on the individual and personalize your approach. This is challenging. We're trained to do this as educators. We know this is expected of us. Every student that's sitting in your classroom is uniquely different. Each one has beautiful God-given callings and God-given gifts and talents. It's our job to uncover them. And the way we do that is not just simply expecting them to be consumers of the information, but we're taking the time to notice and nurture each student's unique gifts. In other words, we're connecting with them. We're going to learn about their interests, what motivates them, what drives them. We're going to learn about their struggles. And even more importantly, learn about their aspirations. What motivates them? This is a powerful, powerful tool in your classroom. And then lastly, celebrate the small wins. Growth often happens in small, unseen moments. Those moments when one step forward is a monumental task in a student's lives. Make sure you take the time to celebrate that. And when we embrace that role of connector, the benefits just ripple outward. For students, their engagement increases, their motivation improves, their learning becomes more meaningful. In other words, the apathy that this generation often struggles with gets pushed to the back seat. Why? Because they know someone believes in them and is taking the time to intentionally connect with them. And for you, there's nothing that gives you more joy as an educator than to see your students thriving in the academic pursuits that you're putting before them. It will reinvigorate your sense of purpose and your beliefs in the students that you're serving. And Jesus showed us that relationships, they're central to the gospel. He didn't just preach, he engaged with people personally, and he did so often in the midst of their struggles. And as Christian educators, we have the privilege of reflecting that same love and that same intentionality when we embrace the relational aspect of our students. So as we close, I want to leave you with an encouraging word from Nehemiah 4:17. Each year, as I begin a new year, I read through the book of Nehemiah. Why? Because we're educators, we're building, we're constantly building. And every year the build gets tougher. And every year the opposition gets more challenging. But every year that means we need to renew our fight, dust off the weapons that we use and stay in the battle for our students. So Nehemiah 4:17 says, those who carried materials did their work with one hand, holding a tool, and one hand holding a weapon. So this verse paints a vivid picture of dedication and readiness. See, as educators, we're called to build, to develop our students relationally, academically, and spiritually, but also staying prepared to combat the challenges of today's culture. See, our role is both constructive, we build, and that's the consumer part. We're giving information out for our students. We're building their academic and spiritual formation. But we also have to assume the protective stance. That's the relational aspect. We equip students with knowledge and truth, and then we stand firm against anything that may undermine their spiritual formation or their biblical worldview development. So as you step into your classroom and your leadership role this week, remember that you are both a builder and a protector. But neither of these is possible without being a connector of students relationally. As you connect with your students, you lay strong foundations for them while standing ready to defend the values and the relationships that matter most. So take one small step, pausing to pray for a student, maybe even engaging and reaching out to their family, being present in a conversation. Whatever it is you do it with the intention of connecting. Because when we make connection a cornerstone of our work, we're not just imparting knowledge. We're building a community where our students understand the importance of relationships. When we model that for them, they will then go out and model it for others. And then the relational aspect, the beautiful part of being a part of the body of Christ becomes paramount. And through this, we magnify Christ, allowing his love and his grace to shine through us. And remember, what you do matters. Every moment, every day, you are a difference maker and your students are worth it. See you next time.
Student Leadership and Learning is a presentation of the Association of Christian Schools International. Create enriching experiences beyond the classroom by visiting acsi.org/studentleadership.